Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ys 2 Chronicles Plus. In the last part we continued deeper into the Solomon Shrine, witnessing Maria's death in the process. And now we're looking for the last person for our character notes, as the other survivors from the Runaways hideout stated there was someone else who was turned to stone elsewhere in the shrine. But we hadn't seen them yet. If you had explored pretty in-depth, there's a pretty good chance you would have found them already, but I specifically saved them for now, as well, it would have just been slightly out of the way at the time. We want to head back to the subterranean canal that we find over here in Fact Sector to get here. Also, since we're seeing a really neat detail I like that they do here, they also did back in Ys 1 Chronicles Plus, admittedly, as well as Ys Complete, I believe. The further into the end game you get, time actively starts passing, to the point where it starts seeming like it's getting towards dusk and all that, and I love that. The Twilight vibe's really neat. So, in this section of the subterranean canal, we want to head all the way to the very southern wall and then head west, because that'll allow us to access the full southwestern corner of it. And if you had checked there earlier, you would have found something pretty peculiar, but now, well, it's no longer peculiar. Who are you? I see. You reversed the petrification? Much obliged. My name is Sada of Ramia Village. I came here to rescue my fiancée, Maria, but a man in a black cloak cast a spell and turned me to stone. Adal hesitantly told Sada that Maria had been sacrificed. No! If only I'd come sooner. Maria. Thank you for fighting to rescue her. Even if you weren't successful, I respect the effort alone. I have no further need of a sword. The one I sought to protect is beyond protection now. This sword has been passed down through my family for generations. As I've lost my will to fight, I believe it would be put to better use in your hands. Please, take it. And we get the ultimate sword in the game, the Claria sword. It's no ordinary sword. It possesses an incredible strength. Really, it's the only thing that got me this far. Oh, yes, in my home, there's also a suit of armor made of the same metal. If you tell my father that I'm alive and well, I believe he'll let you use it. Indeedy so, we should probably head back to Hadat and give him an update on everything that's happened since. Plus, it'll also allow us to showcase something else the Claria sword specifically can do, but we'll talk about that again in a moment. Ah, Adal, so glad to see you in one piece. Is that the Claria sword I see in your hands? I assume Sada gave it to you. Adal described his meeting with Sada to Hadat. I see. Thank goodness. Since Sada has entrusted the sword to you, please allow me to augment the set. So yeah, if you ever wondered why there's just 2 chests in there, this is why. And thus we get the Claria armor, the strongest armor in the game. This is Claria armor, which my family preserved alongside the sword. Both were entrusted to us for the sole purpose of one day being handed down to the hero led by the twin goddesses. That sword and armor will serve you quite well, I'm sure of it. If only I had the Claria shield to give you as well. 700 years ago, Ys became a sort of arc in the sky, if you will, and we've been floating here ever since. Adal, I pray that your battle will end in victory. If you need my help with anything, do not hesitate to ask. We can't quite get the shield yet, but just keep in mind that we are missing the full set at the moment. Either way, now that we have the Claria sword, we can take care of a bit of a loose end. We've been seeing these Zerots since we first reached the Solomon Shrine, and whenever you leave, you do have to talk to them to get back in unless you teleport to, like, the Runaways hideout or the Goddess's Palace. Now that we have the sword, our strength stat is high enough that we can actually kill them and thus get their enemy notes. So if you heeded my words and got that blue enemy done over at the East Shrine that I had yet to in the footage, this should be your last set of enemy notes to get done, and thus you'll get an achievement for completing all of the enemy notes. With that said, there's also another achievement tied to them. For instance, Dr. Gatekeeper IV DDS Zerot. That's not the name we saw earlier, now is it? We were seeing Gatekeeper and Gatekeeper Jr., and this one's Gatekeeper III Esquire Zerot. Every time you kill the Zerots, their name actually gets updated to the next generation. And this, I believe, goes on far enough that it's not worth seeing all the numbers. But there is an achievement for killing 10 distinct generations of them, like Lord Gatekeeper VI, the Zerot, And over here, that means this is going to be Gatekeeper the 5th, P.I. Zerat. It's a minor thing, but I think it's funny. I believe after the 10th is where they just start just numbering them. But the thing is about the Zerats, they are the strongest enemy in the game. So if you want to max out your level, this is the enemy to grind against. As at this point, the Zavanites are just nowhere near as good. There's Gatekeeper 007. Here's 8keeper. I love that one especially. I don't use these enemies to get to max level right now, as there's still 2 notable points in the plot, I believe, where you get just a boost of experience points for completing the plot objectives. But I'd still recommend grinding up enough to at least get your nearest level at this point, on top of the fact if you're somehow not at level 50 yet, just doing that now. Here's Gatekeeper number 9, starting to talk like I do. Meanwhile, over here is Gatekeeper the 10th Zerat. Upon killing this set, you should get the achievement pop. That means you now have killed 10 generations. With that said, now that I've shown getting that achievement in some form, now we're going to jump cut to the point where I get a level up along the way, but also get all their enemy notes totaled out. That should theoretically mean you max out at around the Gatekeeper 3130 set, I believe. But you can just keep killing them again and again and again for experience, which we will later on. For right now, at this point, I have, in the footage, checked my enemy notes and went, wait, I'm missing an enemy. Oh, right, the blue guy. So we're going to quickly head back to the wings using the silver pendant to go kill that. But even then, if you're playing along, our next goal is actually this very same room to use the gold pendant we got from Botson, as that'll allow us to access the next section of the Solomon Shrine. Thankfully, the blue enemy in question actually isn't that far away. The easiest farming point is actually to go this way, which I didn't earlier on in the LP. And then just go up the stairs, as there's one in here, and I think there's also one in that door to the top right of the screen right now. Oh, also, I just realized I forgot to mention this. This will complete our enemy notes, of course, but the moment you talk to Sada, if you've talked to every other character in the game up to this point, he should be your last character note, so at that point, another achievement should pop. And here we are with every enemy note completed, technically. There is still one enemy we haven't seen, technically 2, in the final 2 boss fights. For me, I already had the final boss in my notes because this is, again, a New Game Plus file, effectively. But those do not count, I believe, for the achievement. Speaking of achievements, though, let's go get one last one, and this is the weird one. Over here at the Ruins of Mundoria, if you look carefully, you can see a bit of a weird buzzing going on right there, some weird movement. That is a big bunch of mosquitoes. If you get near them right around here, they'll start following you. We want to gently coax them all the way back to the area's entrance. This is tedious, yes, but it is needed for an achievement, so I figured I might as well show it off. It's a funny little interaction. I don't think these mosquitoes spawn until later in the adventure at that, so I don't think you can do this as, like, soon as you reach the Ruins of Mundoria or anything like that. But just so we're not here for, like, actually 4 extra minutes, I'm going to speed this up by about 8 times just to get us back to the entrance. I have never tested to see if this works, but I have heard you can just have the mosquitoes on you for like a minute and then teleport to like Lance Village and walk north back into the Ruins of Mundoria. And it'll work because supposedly the game just looks for a screen transition in order to trigger the text we're looking for here. But that sounds just finicky enough where it might not work all the time anyway. Hell, this is technically the second time I had to do it in the footage, as it didn't work because I went a little too quickly here at the screen transition. There seems to be no mosquitoes in pursuit, fortunately. Upon seeing that text, the achievement should trigger. So with that, let's now head back to the sector of Hadal once again, and head back into the central area and use the gold pendant on that goddess statue this time around to see where we end up next. At this point, you are getting close enough to the end of the game where if there's anything you've left hanging around achievement-wise you want to get done, you probably should go do it now if you want to just see what extra dialogue characters have. Because while the Solomon Shrine is the last third of the game, latter half of the game in some cases, even if you just don't talk to every NPC, once you get to around this point, the pace accelerates to a point where you're going to get done with things pretty quickly. So, welcome to the Shrine Underpass. We are getting as deep in the shrine as we theoretically can, and you really want to make sure you have the Claria ring on, because we're coming up on our next boss fight. Adol the Red, at long last you've come. I never suspected you to be so strong, but this is where it ends. I will utter a prayer over your mangled corpse. The hopes of the goddesses will fall into ruin on this spot. I was born of the essence of magic. No parlor tricks granted you by the priests will have any effect on me. Dalles is not kidding there. Magic spells do nothing against him. This is the first boss fight in the game we actively need to go all in with the bump combat on. And it can be kind of rough to adapt to if you've gotten so used to how the magic is in this game up to this point. On top of that, Dalles himself is a bit of a bullet hell. He'll teleport around the arena, and when he does so, he'll constantly spew out arrays of bullets like that, but he'll also have 4 meteorites surrounding him that will then slowly home in on your location after he disappears to teleport elsewhere. You can take a lot of damage very quickly here, but if you've done the levels we've done up to this point grinding-wise and have the Claria armor, you're probably going to be fine. Just make sure you have a healing item on ready just in case. The center of the stage notably does constantly light up as you go through this, and I believe that's counting down to something if you don't do enough damage to him quickly, but I don't think it's ever actively gone off on me. I'll see if I can find out what that is by the time I get to the second pass. Probably as easy as just replaying a part of the game up to this point from my backup save files and seeing what happens. Worth noting, the game does pull a bit of a trap move on you, in that if you come here as soon as you get the gold pendant, you're actually going to be in trouble because I don't think anything but the Claria sword can damage Dalles. So you do need to go out of your way to go find Sada first. But mind you, they hint so strongly at his existence, you probably should try to find him anyway because you're like, okay, I found Maria. Where the hell did Sada go? As long as you rush him down every time he teleports elsewhere, usually he won't get to stay around long enough to get much done. But if you're not careful, that boss might still rough you up pretty good. And thus, this weird pearl we saw much earlier in the game now acts as a teleport point, which leads us to a chest containing the final spell in the game, the shield magic. This magic is absurd. It grants you complete invincibility for the duration of your magic gauge. It is game-breaking, theoretically. The fact we only have it for effectively the final boss or any last grinding you want to do means this is the time to go level up in the case you need to. With that said, with effectively the first song we heard in the game now playing, welcome to the final area of the game, the Core of Ancient Ease. It's not a very long area, in fact it's mostly cutscene, but I love the atmosphere here, and I also love the tile set, it looks really cool. Mr. Adel, this way! Mr. Adel, it's me! Why are we here? I'll tell you later. Right now, you need to hurry. Everyone's waiting for you. How did this kid get here before me? That just seems absurd. Huh? You are Adel, are you not? We met before, though only briefly. I'm Maria. Keith brought me here after I collapsed in the bell tower. He told me that my bracelet lay in pieces beside me. It would seem that it absorbed all the energy intended for me, ultimately saving my life. Time is of the essence. Do not tarry here. Well, she's alive at least. And, we don't need to do this, but I just felt like it was important to do so. We should probably go, alert the people she loves to do this. Worth noting, though, in the Core of Ancient Ease itself, you actually can't teleport out. So if you want to leave this area for whatever reason, like I'm doing, you actually do have to go back up the elevator. But I think you'll need to go a certain amount up the elevator for the teleport to actually work. There is another reason you want to leave back to Ramia Village at this point, though, and that's if you're going for all achievements, because the moment you talk to Maria here, a final step of an achievement unlocks back at the village, so we might as well, First off, let's go talk with her best friend on the level below where we teleport in. Maria's okay? My stars, you have no idea what a relief that is. Praise be to the goddesses. Adel, thank you so much for telling me. If you haven't already, please give the news to Karen and Sada as well. May your journey continue to be blessed, Adel Kristen. I mean, it's been blessed so far. We've managed to survive pretty good. I took my eyes off him for one moment and off he went, that wily Tarf. Honestly, you, Sada, and Tarf are all the same. Reckless, careless, and headache-inducing, the lot of you. I guess it's important to have faith in the power of youth. You've come so far, there's simply no turning back now. Only I did literally turn back to come here. Words cannot convey how relieved I am that she's alive and well. This is surely the blessing of the goddesses. Sada will be overjoyed. I agree that he will be, hence why we're going to be telling him last. Thankfully, though, Sada has moved out of the subterranean canal at this point. He's now in the graveyard in the southwestern part of town, so you need to go nowhere near as out of the way to talk to him, as we would have had to if he didn't move.
Really? She's safe? Almighty goddesses, thank you so much for keeping her from harm. And thank you, Adolf, for informing me of her safety. I believe you are a messenger of the goddesses under their divine protection.
The main thing, though, if you care about achievements, if you talk to Maria and then come back to her house, you can now get in her bed. Adol wished he could latch onto this feeling and never let it go. Adol, for the love of God, let it go. Upon sleeping in her bed, if you also slept in Lilia's back in Lance Village and Zalim's in this town, you'll get an achievement. Wait, Maria's safe, truly? Almighty goddesses, thank you so much for your blessings. And Adol, you too, of course. In my grief, I thought that digging her gravesite was the only way I'd ever come to terms with what had happened. But I never truly believed I'd actually be able to come to terms with it. And now I don't have to, thanks to you. If you haven't done so already, you really should go and tell Maria's mother the good news too. I'll be here praying for your victory and safe return, and Maria's as well. I do believe you have the strength to end this. Fight the good fight, Adol Kristen. With that, our business in Ramia Village is now permanently concluded unless you want to use Reg's well to heal up if you're grinding the Zerots, which I'm about to do so as well. I'm gonna at least get to level 54 here. I'd actually recommend grinding out a couple of hundred more experience than I do right here, as there is one more point in the game we're gonna get a plot EXP boost. So if you grind a little more, you might be able to get the max level without having to backtrack to them like I will, but do what you do. Alright, back in the core of Ancient Ease though, let's see what lies beyond Maria. A dead end. Oh, god damn it. Well, that was short-lived. Adol, this way. Well, thank you, Keith. The goddesses are at the end of this passageway, and Gordo is waiting for you a bit further ahead. Please, hurry. Keith's character art really stands out to me in this game as cool. Mind you, the fact it's one of the few non-humanoids you talk to that has character art, but also is one of the few that's facing away from the camera probably helps. Hey, good to see you, Adol. It's me, Gordo from Ramia. The goddesses are beyond this barrier, most likely, but I have no idea how we can possibly get through. Well, shit. Hey, did you see something move over there? What could it have been? Was it a demon? Damn it, we've come so far. What do we do now? Well, clearly, I do what I do and run into it. A black shadow was seen darting off up ahead. I'ma get you, whatever you are. Someone was just here. Oh, hi, Lilia. Adol? My goodness, it's great to see that you're all right. I'm sorry if I made you worry. After I was turned back, I got an overwhelming urge to see you, as if I were being drawn here. But that's not the only reason. I just felt like I needed to be useful in some way. And before I knew it, here I was. I was able to come all this way without any demons spotting me, and I believe this ring made it possible. When I was searching for you in the subterranean canal, I met two girls, and they gave it to me. They said if you find the one you seek, please give this to him. Clearly, you're the one they meant, so please, take this ring. I believe it'll be crucial in your quest. And thus we get the Goddess Ring. This is the final accessory in the game. Wearing it boosts your strength and defense by 2 each, but you're also required to wear it to not only break that barrier we just saw, but to damage the final boss at all. So keep that on, to say the least. Wait, is that the Goddess Ring? In my dream, one of the two girls who appeared to me was wearing that on her finger. If anything can break the barrier, it's that right there. Give it a shot, man. Alrighty. Oh, hey, it works pretty nicely. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 12, we put an end to this grand adventure. See you guys then.